Good morning, all. Welcome back. I'm going to talk today on the price as a signal of quality. This is a very important part of the previous lecture. That is, how we resolve adverse selection. In that, we had already discussed about this, adverse selection solution for a buyer, a seller, by a third party. So these are called the buyer's case, we call it as a screening. The seller's case, we call it as signaling, and then the third party to see that whether the appraisal kind of thing. So based on that, people actually go for their commodity, they resolve information asymmetry and all. Now we are actually looking into price as a signal of quality. Now you get what you have paid for, one shot purchase, that is high price signal, high quality. So this is what does everybody thinks. So if you say that I am actually paying a high price, then your commodity is very good. For example, people buy high-end computers, like high-end computer instead of high-end. Let's put it in the the same end computer of an Apple and an a Dell has a completely different set of price. One would be actually cost so many 3-4 times than the 2-3 times than the other. So in that sense, for example, a Huawei phone which is having a absolutely marvelous features, maybe cost only maybe 3-4 times less than an Apple phone. Okay, so Huawei or Honor, all this MI phones, the Chinese phones, which are sometimes by performance, by quality, better. But I don't think that this is comparable equal sets in that sense with an Apple. But for a consumer, I can actually afford the same kind of a use at a very low cost unless I go for a higher end. Now, this high price is actually makes also a kind of a signal that this is a particularly very good commodity which which I am consuming. So price can be an indication then why people are actually spending a lot of money for having the car. For example, a cheaper car and a dearer car. There are cars with comes in Indian terms. There are cars comes within 5 lakh rupees and or less than 5 lakh rupees, as well as 5 crore rupees uh, cars. So you have actually a different 100 times difference, and you may be seeing that this car is having higher feature and all. But not only that, a higher price means higher quality in that sense. So you seeing that the higher quality comes with a higher price in that. So price as a signal in that sense. So now, an introductory stage, a low price signal is high quality product. A low quality producer cannot generate repeated purchases, and a high quality price signal is a high quality. A high quality producer is not afraid of contracting demand in that sense. So if you are actually selling at a very huge price, then in fact you are less concerned about the market. So for example, some monopolists, they are actually selling their commodity to very high. For example, Rolls Royce, Bugatti, all this luxury cars, they are actually having very few buyers when you compare with the popular cars like Ford or MG or Tata or Maruti, Suzuki. These are called popular cars, cheaper cars. This is for common people. And you think that the other cars are actually the number of production of the other car would be less because it's luxurious car, what is you think, because the price of the cars are normal, I mean exorbitantly high in that sense. So in that sense you are trying to signal that with the higher price this is a better quality product, whereas you say that at a low price, low quality cars in that sense. Even within the budget cars, you have different graded cars, like in feature wise, then price also will differ in that sense. So price in that sense act as a signal to ensure that your product is being highly the product is having higher quality in that sense. So in each of these case, a person with less information, that is the principal is hiring, a more information person than the agent to make decision that will directly affect the principal's own well-being is called the principal agent problem. Now, once you have this higher price and all, but this higher price, lower price, different information is also have a sort of a relation between these two individuals, that is a principal and agent. Those who have a higher information and those who have lower information makes actually the market a principal agent relation market in that sense. So this is what is actually our next understanding, next sort of a lecture. Uh, okay, and this is assumes that we can show a graph of the owner's preference in terms of a profit and a various benefit. For example, we can take a jet example because this is largely from Nichols and Snyder, so I'm strictly adhering to what they are trying to be. So if you have a principal agent relationship, if the manager is also the owner of the firm, he will maximize his utility at a profit level at pi star in that sense. So it is also given in that graph. And the owner manager maximizes profit because any other owner manager will also want to be B star in the benefit, and B star becomes the true cost for doing business for them. Now, if there is a principal agent case, that means the manager and the owner is different individual. Then things are going to be that good. Suppose there are two other owners who play no role in operating the firm. That is $1 in benefit only cost the manager and $0.33 in profit. The owner of or the other is actually 0.67 dollar is effectively paid by the other owner in terms of a reduced profit. Then the new budget constraints continue to include the point B star and pi star. The manager could still make the same decision that a sole owner could be. For benefit greater than B star, the slope of the budget constraint is only minus 1 by 3. That is actually exactly this figure shows. That is initially you have a U1 case and you have a owner's constraint, which is this thing. At the same time, now agent's constraint is a completely different one. Given the manager's budget constraint, he will maximize utility at benefit based double star. Okay, as well as the profit for the firm will be a pi double star, that triple star. That is actually it is going to be much lesser than the what's supposed to get. So the difference between these two, that is pi triple star and pi double star, is goes with the agent, whereas actually the principal gets only a very lesser profit in that sense. So the firm's owner are harmed by having a to rely on agency relationship with the firm's manager. The smaller the fraction of the firms that is owned by the manager, the greater the distortion that will be induced by the relationship. So, firms owns a fleet of corporate jets used mainly for business purpose. The firms has just fired CEO for misusing the corporate fleet. So this is also an example which was turned up earlier. So the firm wants to structure a management contract that provides a better incentive for cost control in that. Suppose that all would be applicable have the same utility function, that is USJ, which is equal to 0.1 S of 0.5 plus J, whereas S is the salary and J is the just user. So if you use J, then you have to add it. If you are not using it, then you need not to add it. All applicants have job offers from other firm promising them a utility level of at most is actually the second. That is because jet use is expensive for them, and therefore their pi would be 800,000 if j is 0, and then the pi is actually 160 if jet is 1. So the director will be willing to pay the new CEO up to 638,000 or dollar, providing that $1,000, providing that they can guarantee that he will not use the corporate jet. Otherwise, they will be actually reducing the salary. More than 400 will just be sufficient to get a potential candidate accept the job without a jet use in that. So if the director find it difficult to monitor the CEO's jet use, and this could mean that the firm end up with a lesser profit in that sense, as we shown in the graph earlier. So the owner may therefore wants to create a contract where the compensation of the new CEO is tied to a profit. Now, if you have a higher profit, then you will get actually a higher reward in that sense. Normally, this happens with the corporate firms, and this case is also from a corporate loss case in that sense. An owner management relation therefore is a very crucial one, and suppose that the gross profit of the firm depends on some specific action that hired manager might take a kind of situation, right? A, that is net profit, which is equal to pi dash, which is equal to pi a minus s pi times a. Both gross and net profits are maximized when your change in profit with respect to a, which is equal to 0. The owner's problem is to design a salary structure that provides an incentive to the managers to choose that maximize his or her pie in that sense. So the owner faces two issues. They must know the agent's utility function, which depends on the net IM, that is their income, which is equal to S of pi A, which is equal to C of A, and which is equal to C0. That is where CA represents the cost to the manager of undertaking A itself. So they must design the compensation system so that the agent is willing to take the job, and this requires that IM which is greater than or equal to 0 in that sense. So one option would be to pay no compensation unless the manager choose A dash or A star, and to pay an amount equal to A star plus C0 if A star is chosen in that sense. So another possible scheme is SA, which is equal to pi of A minus F, where F is equal to pi of A minus C A star minus C0. With this compensation package, the manager's income is maximized by setting the partial change, that is dou SA by dou A, which is equal to dou pi A by dou A, which is equal to 0. That is maximization. So the manager will choose A star and receives an income that just covers the cost, which is IM, which is equal to S A dash minus C A dash, a star minus C0, which is equal to pi A star minus F of F minus C of A star. That's it, minus C0, which is again a maximization function. This compensation plan makes the agent the residual claimant to the firm's profit, and that's it. Now, when you say that actually an agent or the what you call the management sometimes get a huge profit, especially a simple example can actually make this thing clear. During the bubble burst, that is in the American housing bubble was busted, and many of the CEOs got a lot of rewards. This is nothing but actually the kind of the reward they're supposed to receive during the bubble, but they are supposed to be paid very high because this corporate debt, what you call is actually writing off of this debt, and giving them some sort of you know incentive package or to make the firm better. They had actually paid a huge sum to most of the CEOs of these firms. In fact, they were instrument. I mean, forgetting the fact that they were instrument. But I'm not talking about the fairness aspect and all. But what has actually happens exactly because they haven't maybe received the dividend of an earlier kind, and the owners maybe maximize their profit, but when they remonetized, they had actually given a lot of money to the CEOs in the aftermath of the global crisis. And this is an example in front of all of us, which is in fact a reflective point in this context. Model of the principal agent relationship have introduced asymmetric information into this problem in two ways. That is, it is assumed that the manager's action is not directly observed and cannot be perfectly inferred from the firm's profit, referred to as a hidden action, and the agent manager objective function is not directly observed, therefore referred as a hidden information. And hidden, let us talk about a hidden information. The primary reason that the manager's action may be hidden is that profit depends on random factor that cannot be observed by the firm's owners themselves. So suppose that profit depends on both the manager's action and on a random variable u, then your pi A is equal to u dash A plus a u, where uh, your pi dash represent the expected profit in that sense. Now, this is exactly what happens with the example which I just now said. The housing bubble was being basically built by the managers because they were having a sort of, trade which is technically high risk trade, but most of the time this trade may not be known by the owners themselves, because corporations have been owners of different kind, higher shareholders, as well as a common man who would also the shareholder of the firm. So in that sense, the too much owners in that sense, so they may not be checking. So most of the time what happens is that the managers did do all kinds of this thing. This is what is called the hidden action. So many of the firm managers were done that, and most of the time the stock market is being collapsed because of, or the bubble get burst because of this kind of situation. So because the owners observe only pi and not the pi dash, they can only use actual profit in their compensation function. A risk averse manager will be concerned that actual profit will turn out badly and may decline the job. The owner might need to design a compensation scheme that allows for a profit sharing case. Now, when the principal does not know the incentive structure of the agent, the incentive scheme must be designed using some initial assumption about the agent's motive. So, motivation or will be adapted and new information becomes available in that context. Now, this is what is called an efficient wage theory, supposed to talk about. So, let me discuss efficient wage theory in the next lecture itself. So, now this is also to keep in mind that this is a continuous lecture, because you have in the very beginning we start with the information and then we moved towards different kinds of information asymmetry, and we have seen adverse selection, we had seen moral hazard, then we have seen how to resolve the adverse selection issue, and in that we have introduced all kinds of signaling and price signaling we have seen. Then we have seen that all this is constitute towards a principal agent issue, and the principal agent issue I have discussed now, that in order to resolve the principal agent issue you have to devise certain mechanism which we will discuss in the next lecture itself.